living in the moment, and the moment is the future.
Welcome to Spread Talk with Pam
and John,
also known as The Calm.
Before the Storm.
Our purpose is to elevate the conversation and amplify special education resources.
And our why is about making the impossible possible. Well, we're back. Sped Talk 2022. This is what we do, right, Pam?
That's right, John. We are back, and today with us is Evan Heckman from ESC Region 10.
Now, Evan, his name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he hangs
Why
out.
do I know that name?
Well, he hangs out with you, but he also is our editor for Spread Talk. And as he says, he chops up what we say and make it sound much better and more professional. But Evan's here not as the editor, but as the
mastermind. Evan, can you jump in and share a little bit about your series, 10 Minutes Till, the videos you have there at ESC Region 10?
Yeah, happy to do it. Thanks. Hey, Pam. Hey, John. Good to be on the mic as opposed to hiding in the background. We are super excited that after about a 2-year hiatus, to have been in studio last week, shooting the video for 2 more episodes in our 10 Minutes Till video series.
Okay, so what is 10 Minute Till? 10-minute till. Well, that's hard to say.
Great question. So the videos are a part of a series of videos, each with the initial intent of targeting campus level administrators about special ed related topics that they may need to know something about and may have previously been told about or had some training about, but need some reminders.
Yeah.
And that sort of is a thing that was close to my heart based on my background as a campus administrator.
Yeah.
The 10 Minutes Till title is something that came from the idea of you're an assistant principal or a principal, and you're going to have to go do a thing or sit in a meeting or do this. And you're like, okay, well, this meeting is about this topic, manifestation determination, ARD meeting, for example.
Yeah. Or
this meeting is a parent wants to ask me about should their student be receiving special education services or not, that they're not currently in SPED. Or I need, as assistant principal, to sort of figure out why we're having some of these behavior issues with kids.
Yeah.
Well, I may know something about it, but I'm about to go have a meeting about it, and the video clips are 5 to 7 minutes long. So if you're going to walk into a meeting in 10 minutes and you want a quick refresher, these videos cover that topic and have resources with them so that you might could print one out or take something with you before you go into that meeting and try to remember what it is that you need to know and say.
Yeah.
Sound like you know what you're talking about.
So Evan, you said it's kind of like reminders. It's a quick refresher. It wouldn't be something like they would have to have prior knowledge of manifestation determination or whatever the topic is they're coming into.
Yeah.
But this is a great way for them to kind of get a refresher and kind of make sure that they're covering all the things that they need to cover.
Yes, thank you for specifying that. If we talk a little bit about the historical components of this, the original intent was it's for campus administrators. What we have seen is that lots of different people in different roles watch them. There have been districts that have used these as training modules for their staff. We have teachers watching them. We have district level administrators watching them. The original intent, Patty, was that it be campus administrators, and it is a refresher, right? The disclaimer, this is not intended to take the place of initial training, right? It's, hey, you had a class about something when you were getting your principal certification, or you went to a training a year ago, but you've slept since then. So this is your refresher. That's a great way to put it.
I like the fact that you mentioned that the original intent was for campus administrators, because a lot of times whenever campus administrators hear, it's a SPED issue or a parent wants to talk to them, oh, you should probably go talk to our SPED director, or you should probably go talk to our special ed teacher. They might be able to give you better insight. But the thing is that we tend to forget as campus administrators that our roles encompass all kiddos.
Yeah.
And so just the fact that these are the refreshers of, oh, I have a parent that wants to talk to me about this topic. This video is a quick refresher so that I can go back and remember what I had in that class, whenever it was, so that I can address this issue with this parent to make sure that the parent is getting what they need, that the student is getting what they need. But I love that it's geared towards campus administrators because we tend to forget that those kids belong to all of us. They're not SPED kids. They're not, bilingual kids. They're not, all of the kids belong to us. And so I like that. And I love that it targets the special needs for students for administrators.
And an administrator's experience with special education really varies.
Yes.
And so I really like that they may have gone to a bunch of trainings, but they may not need all the areas for that extra refresher, but the option to be there, I think, is phenomenal. So I did have a question.
Yep.
How has it been received? Like, do you know how many people have used it?
Thanks. So yes, I do. I'd love to share some information on that. And I want to answer the unasked question by Jen and you about, its target. Let's go first with what you asked me. It has been received very well. It has won an award in the past. In 2020, it won an award from a communications organization as a video published by our service center. When I checked earlier this week how many views there had been from YouTube, as those videos are on our website, but they live in a YouTube channel, the 5 videos that have previously been published, and we have recently shot 2 more, so there will be a total of 7, but the 5 that have been previously published have been watched as of yesterday 12,608 times.
Wow, that's fabulous.
So
what an impact. Think just real quick.
Sure.
Think about, Evan, when you first iterated this, right? And this, like you shared before, was kind of this brainchild that was born in that first week of the Liaison Project during a design sprint, if you will. Series of activities that we were thrust into as liaisons. And at that time, your thinking was,
how might we help school districts / LEAs and the community, the parents, the kids come together to get on the same page. We thought there was maybe some lack of transparency. You don't know what you know. This group and this group don't have the same information. And so it was, what might we do to allow information to be absorbed, consumed by groups that may not have it. And so where that sort of came into was, well, if the principal doesn't know enough about that topic, how can he make sure that the students are getting what they need? And then the parents are going to say, well, maybe trust fully what's happening. So it was that idea of how do we make more transparent? And that's kind of where it started. And so you mentioned a couple things there, John, right? You mentioned the word design, and that's really what this came out of. If we go back to how the Liaison Project started, we were going to use some innovative things to try to increase outcomes for kids. One of those was this design process, design thinking. And when we looked at how might we allow there to be transparency, how might we have the same information by the campus administration staff and the special ed staff and the parents, it was, what does that look like? And it began the design process of thinking through, well, we could do an FAQ. Remember that? We do an FAQ, right? Okay, well.
But there's other FAQs.
Yeah, but then what about that? So it turned into, if we make these videos, then anybody could watch them, which means that a campus principal who might have been the initial target can watch them, but so can the parents of the kids who go to the school where that person is the principal. They can watch the same thing, and then they both know what they're both supposed to be doing or getting, what the other person's supposed to be doing. So they've been received really well. They've been watched, over 12,000 times, and we just continue to try to determine what people want us to give them in that next video.
So I know the first 5 videos we had: behavior situations, child find overview, MD, the manifestation determination ARD video, inclusion overview, and the initial referral process. Correct. And so you said there's 2 new ones about to drop.
There are 2 new ones that are going to drop. The 2 new ones which are going to drop are about, one, a very hot topic, and one, a needed piece of information. And before I tell you what those are, I want to tell you about why we have the 5 that we have.
Yes.
Because I want to go back to that design process of how do we give them what they want instead of me telling what they need. And initially we were able to send out on a couple of listservs a survey of all the campus administrators in our region. Went out to over 1,200 people. And we got back 300 responses. Wow. If we're going to make a video, what do you want information about? And they told us legal, behavior, discipline. So you see us making these videos about MDRs, which is the law, and discipline and behavior situation, and child find, which is the law, and the initial referral, what it says you have to do. That's where that came from. It was the people who are the users sharing with us the things that they want. How can we help them to have what they need to be better at ensuring that the outcomes for the kids are increasing, they're improving. And so the next two that are coming out are accommodating for students with disabilities. How do we ensure that we are accommodating as we need to be? And it's timely. They're set to release early fall. I won't ensure that they're going to be before school starts or if they're going to be in September. But that's great because then everybody that has an annual ARD throughout the year, as you're planning for state testing and if you're planning on what's going on in the classroom, that the people know, well, how do we make sure that we're giving them the accommodations they need? Which accommodations are appropriate? How do we determine how to use an accommodation? And so that video will cover some of those things and what the law says about it and some resources to do that. So that's a really good one. But the second one, really hot topic, starts with a D, ends with an A, updates the dyslexia handbook. That's the other video that we just recently. This would be really helpful when I get up in front of the special ed directors in my region on a monthly basis. Maybe every other month we'll remind them that these videos are there and then ask, let us know if there's something you want us to make a video about, right? Shoot me an email or shoot me a text or come stop by and tell me when the meeting's over. And so that's where these came from. People say it would be really helpful if we knew how to do this better, or because it's the SPED director, if you could help my principals know how to make sure this is being done the way it's supposed to be done. And that goes all the way back to, I was a principal for 15 years and I was pretty good. I won an award, whether I deserved it or not. Y'all, I didn't know anything about special ed. I'm gonna tell you, I'll sit here and I'm telling you, I never taught special ed. I never was an LSSP or evaluator. I did not have a special education certification. I was campus admin. And now I work in special ed and now I am certified. And now I do have a much better knowledge about special ed. But if you're great or if you're maybe not as great campus principal, if you didn't teach or have a SPED background, you don't know as much as you need to know, and I didn't. So this is a way for me to give back to help other people prevent some of the things that I went through and to have better and be better and do better, because here's some resources that can help you to be a better principal and help your kids.
Something that you just said triggered a thought. So my question to you about that is, in hindsight, as a campus administrator, if you had known then what you know now about SPED and MDR and behavior and all of these things, would it have benefited you as a campus administrator to know all of this beforehand? And how would that have changed the impact on kids that you've had?
Great question. And I'll be the first to admit that, I made mistakes. And while we didn't not serve our kids the way that we're supposed to serve them, the things that I maybe didn't know meant it took longer for me to do the work that needed to be done to be able to get things ready to serve them in an appropriate way, if that makes sense. Would I have been better able to serve them if I had more knowledge about special education as campus administrator? That's what you asked me. The answer is, heck yes, I would have.
And would you have been more effective if you would have had 10 minutes till in your back pocket at that point?
I think that the answer is a very resounding yes. I'll give you the example. I got the head principal job at a middle school, and in making the master schedule, had to go back and remake the master schedule all over again, because I wasn't ensuring that all the kids who needed all the minutes to be served in the environment they needed to be served in was done the way it needed to be, so that throughout the school day, the students had the classes where the services were provided. And if I had had some information about that, about the scheduling process, I wouldn't have had to listen to the assistant superintendent say, hey, you need to redo this. And we did redo it, and the students did get all their services, but extra work on me.
Future episode. 10 minutes till universal scheduling for inclusion.
So
you're describing something that I've worked with administrators for years and continue to get asked to help support in master scheduling when they're going through those woes. And they just don't know. And they just don't know to think about these things until they know. And then they say, well, I'll never do that again. But I just lost a week's worth of work doing this when I could have done this in 2 days.
Evan, you're saying we. They ask us and we. So who else is on your team when you're putting these videos together?
Thanks for asking. I am so blessed to have the most amazing boss ever, partly because she lets me do this, but also because she ensures that our service center has people serving our LEAs the way that they need to be served. And so what that means is that we have a really, really smart, knowledgeable, experienced consultants of people that I get to go to and say, hey, they want me to make a video about dyslexia. I don't know everything I need to know about it. So can I sit down with you and have you help me create a content page
Yeah.
about what things we should cover in the video, so that I can then take that and turn it into a script that I can then share with our communications department, so that we can actually video us having the conversation based on the script, based on that content that you, the expert in that subject, gave me to be able to make the video. So I have a team. I don't supervise anybody. Sometimes it's hard enough to keep up with myself, if I'm totally honest. But I can go to those people who work in the special education service area at Region 10 and say, we need to make a video about child finding because we're being asked about it, and it's a hot topic, to ensure that we're finding everyone and we're training people how to find people. Hey, evaluation consultant, would you go through that with me? So that's the we. And the second part of the we is that we have an amazing communications team in Region 10 who doesn't just put me in front of a camera, but then also on the backside designs the digital graphics which go into the video. And then the third part of the we is Dr. April Estrada. I love so dearly. She is my boss, and she sits in those videos with me. All 7 videos are Dr. Estrada and I having the conversation about the topic.
It is.
And giving that information in a semi-conversational, semi-training format for people. So the we is the team at Region 10, and the we sort of tangentially is also some of the liaison group. One of the things that I've done in the past is ask liaisons, would you let me bounce this off of you? I have shown the video prior to release in the past and say, how is this being received by you? So the we is greater. Sometimes it's a little more narrow, and sometimes it's a little bit wider, but it's definitely way more than just me.
Yeah, it's a high quality end result, and I've watched all the videos that are currently posted. Every one of them are relevant, they're timely, they're interesting. I mean, they're not boring, they're not hard to listen to. Some content, I know when we started this podcast, Pam said, okay, if we're going to do a podcast, we can't make it just some boring, repetitive, here is the information, we are robots, and it's not that, right? I mean, it really is informative, and it's interesting, entertaining, and it's concise, and it's digestible. I think that's the best part of it, because I know that so many of my colleagues that are out there in superintendents, even in small rural schools, a lot of times sit in that space of almost like a campus administrator. And they benefit from this video series. And so kudos, man. Y'all are doing a fabulous job with it.
Thanks. We really try to ensure that we're valuing the time of the people who have a job to do to educate the kids in their building.
Yeah.
And the format allows us to, keep it fairly concise. I think the longest video is about 7 minutes. But the other piece is that it's not just a watch this and then figure out what to do. Every one of the videos has with it at least if not 2 things that you can click on and pull up to look at while you're having the meeting about the topic that you just watched the video on, or that you can print and take with you. For example, the manifestation determination ARD video has the flow chart of the 2 questions that you have to ask before the ARD committee makes a decision. So you walk in there with that and you have it and you know. The behavior situations video has a checklist for campus administrators. When a student gets sent to your office because of behavior, are you doing these things on this checklist to ensure that you know the student's situation, that you're not making decisions which will later you'll have to go undo, or which could be detrimental, that allows consistency at a campus or across multiple campuses in a district, so that everyone is doing what needs to be done. So they all come with a resource too, because we know through some research about professional learning that you can't just watch it and go walk off and know everything you know.
Yeah.
Here's a resource you can take with
Having
you.
an anchor to take with you and refer to is really helpful. I love how your website at Region 10 is set up. I know these videos, when you open them, they take you to the YouTube space in which these videos are housed. But I love how right there next to the videos on ESC Region 10's website, it has those other resources you mentioned linked right next to the videos.
Right. Next to the video, there's a radio button,
Yeah.
and that radio button would take you to that flow chart.
Yeah.
That radio button would take you to that checklist.
Yeah,
or
or
that
to a
radio-
legal framework.
That radio button would take you directly to the citation in the legal framework, which says why that is the way that it is based on the law.
Yeah.
So
I think it's great. What you do is what an administrator does for their teachers every day. Our teachers know that we have our admin looking over us. So we're in a bind, we look to them, we run to them, and they're like, here you go, or here's the quick 10-minute, you can talk to this parent, you know what to do.
Yes.
But admin do not have that, and they're expected to know so much,
Yes.
everything really about all topics. So this is almost like that little, they can turn to y'all at the service center, get on that website and feel like, okay, someone's looking after me while I walk into a meeting now
Yeah.
that I need to lead and be an expert in. So I just think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's a great series.
I need 50 minutes to go back and watch
Yes.
these guys.
Yes. 10 minutes, 5 minutes at a time.
That's right. I am ready.
Thanks for saying that. I really think that it sticks to the intent and the verbiage in the grant that was written that pays for the liaison project to exist.
Yeah.
It talked about connecting resources across Texas.
Yeah.
It talked about providing deliverables. It talked about innovative strategies. Design thinking is one that we've been trained on.
Yeah.
I need to connect you, principal, to a thing that can help you to do your job right now. There's that aspect of it, right?
Yep.
We're going to ask you what videos you want. We're not going to tell you. There's that aspect of design thinking.
Design with
We're going to iterate, right? I may rewrite a script 5 times. The flow chart that I mentioned about NDR, there were 6 versions of it before we have the final version that we printed and put online, right? So that's the iterative process. The design thinking is really there. So the video series really tried to, and I think it does, sort of bear out why this liaison grant exists and why this liaison project with all of us work, because it's providing what the grant intended for it to provide: connections, resources, the design process, improving student outcomes. That's where it is. It's been great.
There was a hole, there was a gap somewhere that we would have never brought light to had that survey not gone out, had that idea not gone out.
And also kudos to the liaison project for having a diverse stakeholder group that comes together, because had the geniuses, the experts, the administrators at Region 10 said, no, we just want special ed directors in this role. No, we just want, but they said, no, we want a campus administrator. We want an evaluation personnel. We want an old director. We want, that brings that diversity to this group. And this project would not have been born had it not been Evan Heckman with that background experience in campus leadership to bring that insight and really to ask, what would have helped me?
And lack of background in the special ed realm to come up with this.
What would have helped me looking back that might help others moving forward? So yeah, great resources, 10 minutes till videos, Region 10 website, Google ESC 10 and 10 minutes till, you'll get there to that landing page.
Yeah, but one thing I want to say before we wrap it up is that one thing the liaisons do is really look at those unmet needs.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easy to see what's needed, but you have to dig deeper to see those unmet needs and then become creative to meet those needs.
Yes.
Because some campus administrators didn't realize they needed
Right.
that 10-minute till video. But once they saw it, like, this is what I've been needing. And here
Without
it is.
even realizing.
Exactly.
I think, Pam, that you're exactly right. I think if I combine what you just said with what John said about that we have and the needs that can be met, we can only meet the needs because we have varied backgrounds. I know that if I didn't know this 5 years ago, but I know now that if I didn't know something about transition, I go to Pam Humphrey, because Pam has spent a long time and is an expert in transition. But if someone needs an expert on campus administration, and they may come to me, they may not. There are other liaisons that have campus administration background, but if the campus administrator wasn't a part of the liaison group, then that's a thing that doesn't get met. So it really has allowed us to say, how can we determine needs that maybe people don't know are needs and try to go out and meet them, which has been great. It's been really great.
Absolutely.
And it's been fun. It's been fun making them. And I would say this too. So here's my little plug. If you out there in cyberspace, out there in the world listening, want to be a part of 10 minutes till videos, tell me what you want to know what the next video should be made about. Give me some feedback. You never know. That might be the next topic that we make a video about. The plan has always been to try to make 1 to 2 videos a year. Had a little hiatus there during 21 where we didn't put one out. And so now we've got 2 more coming out, but this won't be the last 2. We believe that we will be able to continue to put out a few more as the years go by. So,
John, tell everyone how they can continue to elevate the conversation about special education in Texas.
You got it, Pam. They can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at SPEDTalk 2020. Because in these disconnected times, connecting with others has never been so important. Now more than ever, it takes courage to create culture and kindness to keep us connected.
If you enjoyed this episode of Sped Talk, be sure to share it with a friend, because information should always flow through us, not to us. We couldn't do this without you, our listeners, and we need your help sharing the amazing transformation occurring in special education. Together, we can change the trajectory of learning opportunities in Texas for students with disabilities. If you have ideas, information, or resources that you think we should share on an upcoming episode of Sped Talk, let us know at SPEDTalk 2020 on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And be sure to like our page while you're there. Oh yeah, and if you get a chance, please consider giving us a positive review on the podcast platform that you listen to Sped Talk.
Living in the moment, and the moment is the future.